permit. And so I think from what I remember of that meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we were going to come back and say, okay, what works for us, what's going to work for you all. So here's what I can tell you from our standpoint. First of all, we certainly have no problem with the continuation of the permit in Founders Square. Certainly getting the message out, Jason, and post-testing part is permittable, not a problem. The thing that we are not going to be able to allow to continue is the camping piece of it. And I know that's kind of where the road meets the road, for occupying. It's a bit of a problem. Now, as a bit of a compromise, one thing that we can do from the standpoint of what we did at Jefferson Square is allow the command center tent to be there because one is a permitted tent. Secondly, it's on hard surface, and third, it allows for the members, the occupied members, a place to reside should the weather turn bad, and should you need to get in from cold winds or rain and so forth. That's not a problem. We're going to re-up that for another 90 days. It's also on hard surface.
So that could stay during the evenings.
It could.
But people can't be in it.
We would rather not have people living there. Again, I know you all have. I mean, there's a lot of blogging, command center type things. You got equipment in there and so forth.
Someone always has to be in 24/7 to keep it from.
I think that's the case. That, obviously, you may have shifts that are running in and out of there. If someone needs to rest, that's fine, but it would not be.
So there would be people allowed to be in there. You're like introducing this gray area.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, here's what we would like. We understand you have equipment in there. I'm not going to go out there. I'm not going to be the hall monitor and see if anybody's sitting in that tent. If there's somebody in that tent protecting your equipment, doing what you need to do, fine. If that person happens to fall asleep leaning over his desk, I'm not going to be the hall monitor and say, hey, you can't do it. That's ridiculous. So all I'm saying is that you would be permitted to have that for the next 90-day period as we're reissuing this permit. And we would still allow the.
But we're talking like an individual in this regard, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, that tent is from what I can see, and I haven't been in the tent, but it looked like there was more tables and computers and. Right. And a lot of equipment that clearly I understand your desire of not having to back up and carry off every day, and with that, if you have a shift that's coming in there, or a person that comes in there at night to look over the stuff and so forth, and monitor emails and so forth, that's not a problem at all.
One question I had was that I'm still unclear. At the last meeting, one of the gentlemen had mentioned that there were particular ordinances that apply to this square. And I've looked at the Louisville ordinances, and I can't find anything that really talks about not staying there certain hours. Now, I know there are park ordinances that talk about can't be there from 11 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the morning. But I can't find anything that, from what I've seen, this is not listed with parks. It seems to be different from parks. I mean, it doesn't seem that that's a very specific area for parks. So is there anything that applies specifically to the squares?
I'm sort of like you, Ken. I'm relying on the regulations, the carryover regulations that we have for our other metro parks. But this particular Founders Square, Jefferson Square, Fort Nelson Square are all managed by Public Works. Also, to that end, Ted Pullen is the director of those facilities, and clearly, whatever happens relative to moving forward, he's involved in that discussion as well.
So he's the person that would sign off.
He's the person that would sign off on
the overnight stay, which is listed in the ordinance that I guess you draw from the Louisville ordinance.
Well, the Louisville ordinance actually applies to metro parks, Cherokee, Seneca.
But you're saying that you draw your rules from that.
And he's using some of that for the rules relative to, you can't can't swim in a park, you can't hang glide in a park, and you can't camp in a park. And so again, he's got these.
So he's drawing the one section previous to that that says there's no camping in the park, and then the clause below that says without approval by the director. He's not allowing that one to
he's not allowed to
be governed by.
And we committed it.
And what's the reason for that?
Well, a number of reasons. One is that just like out there today, the park is very damp, very muddy, very unusable to other citizens of this community, and we want to be able to. Not that, and I'm not implying that Occupy Louisville has restricted anybody from being there, but people are hesitant to use the park because of Occupy's being located there. This is a piece of open space. It is a valuable piece of open space for all the citizens of this community, and I think that's one reason. The second reason is that park's not a camping park. It's not designed to be a camping park. It doesn't have the capacity to be a camping park, and as such, the results of that is that we're seeing a lot of wear and tear on the park, making it difficult for other people to enjoy it. So I think there are some safety sanitation issues, related to there's power available, but obviously power is available by extension cords, and those extension cords, unless they're, they do get frayed, and they are vulnerable. So we have some concerns there as well.
So just those two reasons.
Well, then again, the main reason, Jason, is that it's a public park, and it's meant to be accessible by everybody. I think that the public feels like they're intruding into your space. And that's why it's
Well, just to clear for me just a second, what I addressed earlier, I'm a little confused as to whether then the park rule, from reading the ordinance, necessarily applies to the square. Because, like I say, the list is separately in the ordinance, and it talks about parks. It doesn't talk about visiting the park. This talks about this as a venue, and there's a particular rule for parks.
Yeah.
So I'm just, it seems to me it's not real clear as far as what the ordinance is.
I don't think it is very clear, but Kim, when you get right down to it, Ted could say, we don't want anything there, anytime. And that's his call.
And Ted is who?
Ted Pullen.
And his, what is he?
He's the Director of Public Works.
Oh, Public Works, okay.
Just like we do on every special event permit, we contact the LMPD and a number of the other agencies that help us out in making decisions relative to parks and plazas. And Ted said, look, I don't mind giving this a try with the camping. And you all were part of that decision 2 or 3 months ago. And we've tried it, and it appears that it's kind of reached its limit right now. So let's figure something else out.
Here's my perspective. You're offering us a permit for the next 90 days during the day, which is when people would be using that park anyway. The people that feel that they don't want to come down there because we're there. And we would also be using the park the same as we are. We would be able to have the permit for the permanent tents. There would always be people there. The issues with the lawn, all that stuff would still exist. The issues with sanitation and health, we've met all the requirements by getting the porta pot, and we have a porta pot per the amount of people that we're allowed to have there during the day. I feel like these issues are not the real reason for us to be removed from this park. The reason that we are at this park is because many of us have no other way of being represented. We have lost our ability to have our voices heard. And this is where we've come, is this park. The reason, if this park is taken away, where will these people go? They'll try, and some of the homeless people, they'll be, they'll try and go to an overnight place. They may or may not get one. They'll be back there. They're trying to get their voices heard. The issues that we are trying to solve are the effects of bigger issues. And you said the last time we were here that this issue of homelessness is too big to just bring down to one set of campers. when is that issue going to get solved? And that is what we are here for. That is why we're occupying this space, is because we are trying to solve these issues, and we are trying to reach out to the mayor. We've visited city councilmen multiple times. We've worked with all of you, and none of you can individually say, let's solve this issue. You have to collectively say, let's solve this issue. And that's what we're asking for. And we haven't heard anything from any of you. And you are being used as a way for the mayor to just say, don't let this happen, let's sweep this under the rug. And the reason that we are here is because this is continually swept under the rug. And it's not, this is it coming to a head. And all of these issues need to be addressed.
Well, I wish I was, big enough, powerful enough, smart enough to deal with all these issues at one time, and I'm not.
You're powerful enough to let us stay there.
Yeah.
And to let us work with the people that are powerful enough to solve these issues.
I'm not sure what the best way to put this is, but I believe that the exercising of our constitutional rights requires certain conditions. That those rights themselves are not unconditional, in the sense that in the absence of a space, the homeless do not have any real chance of actualizing and realizing their First Amendment rights to speech,